Hey, it's Heather at Adventures in Gardening, and today we're going to do a midsummer tomato garden tour. Hi, my name is Heather Thibault, and I garden in Connecticut Zone 6, and aside from my YouTube channel, I also own a small business where I organically grow heirloom and open pollinated plants for my local community. And of those plants, most of them are tomatoes. I try to specialize in different kinds of or different choices, different varieties of tomato plants. And from February until the second week of June, I'm hustling. I am growing, I am talking to customers, I am, very, very involved in a race to get the plants from seed out the door. Right now, this is when I am spending a lot of time observing the plants in the garden and making choices on what I'm going to have available for next year. Now today, we're going to walk around and look at the plants. Now many do not have ripe tomatoes on them yet, but I want you to look at them because this is when things get very tough, okay? In the heat of the summer, this is when it becomes more of a challenge. You've got critters moving in, you've got disease moving in, and this is the point where a lot of people will figure out that they do not have enough support for that tomato plant, and it can be frustrating. So I'm going to show you the different ways that I grow my tomato plants, all the different varieties. I want you to see them even if they're not ripe, because it is important to have a healthy looking tomato plant in your garden. At least that, in my opinion, that is a criteria. Not only do I want my customers to have great tasting tomatoes, I want them to have a really healthy looking tomato plant. Okay, there's nothing worse than walking through your garden and seeing your tomato plant just falling apart and with the yellow leaves and the black spots and all that. I know it's frustrating, and there will be some as we're walking through here, but I try to keep it under control. Now, one other thing, as we're going through, I want you to know I'm going to show you how to save a tomato plant. All right, if you have a tomato plant in your garden at midday, it wilts, and then it perks back up in the evening, and then the next day it does it again, and then one day it's finally dead. Okay, my sister and I have come up with a solution for that, and we're going to talk about it when we get to that plant, so stay tuned for that. So let's get going through the garden and look at some tomato plants. Okay, I don't think I said this, but I have over 30 different varieties that I'm growing, and I'm constantly trialing, and some leave and some come in, some new ones. Some of them I haven't tasted yet today. There are 3 that I grow every year that I do not have in my garden because I sold out, and that is Red Robin, Principe Borghese, and the Beefsteak Classic. Believe it or not, one of those plants I actually pulled out of my garden to sell to somebody. So, but there's plenty to see, and we will also come back when we start getting more ripe tomatoes and look at them again. So, but let's go ahead and walk through the garden. So the weather, of course, is going to determine what kind of tomato season we have, and it has been hot and humid here lately. It just finished raining, but for the most part, I mean, everything is looking pretty good. These are my cattle panels where I grow my cherry tomatoes mostly. There are some exceptions. So what I do is I just pull them in and out. Please don't break this, Heather. There we go. I just keep weaving them in and out of the cattle panel. Sometimes I do tie them to the cattle panel. There's 2 cattle panels and another 2 cattle panels, and I have 4. I have 4 cherry tomatoes here. This first one is Rosella. This is my favorite cherry tomato. It is, of course, a prolific cherry tomato. And these are the fruits right here. It always has kind of a green shoulder, but it is not, this is not tough-skinned. It's thin-skinned, and it is sweet and very flavorful. So this is a really nice one. And right next to it here is black strawberry. Black strawberry, if I were only growing 1 cherry tomato in my garden, it would not be black strawberry. But this is a great addition to salads. It's very beautiful. And this is when it's ripe. That is not when it's ripe. Okay, so you got to wait for it to turn this color right here. It's a little on the tart side. I love to use these for roasting. This is a great roaster. Brings out a really nice rich flavor. And then next to that is, let's see, is this blue? Yes. This is blueberry cherry, and that is not ripe. They will turn bright red when they are ripe. But nice, healthy, tall tomato plants, cherry tomato plants. I do trim the branches that go opposite of the cattle panel just for ease, but I always have a ton of cherry tomatoes. So next to next to blueberry cherry is Isis candy. And Isis candy is also a sweet cherry. This is its proper coloring. Sometimes they get a little more orange than this, but great flavor. Nice size. You can see the three of these are nice, good size. I see you, Piper. You want to say hi to everybody? You got to, there, she's right there. Now I got cat fur on my tomato plants. And then on the end I have another rosella just because it is our favorite. Okay, Piper, you need to get down. And my husband likes to come out here and eat cherry tomatoes before he comes in the house. So on this next panel here, you can see there's a pretty big difference in the height, and I really have not been able to figure that out. So here is the first set, and here is the second set. So they're a lot shorter and it's not that these are short varieties. I don't know, but this is Stupus right here, and I think there's a ripe one. Let me see. No, maybe not. Yeah. This is Stupus. So I would say all of those are pretty large cherry tomatoes. And this is Honeydrop. And Honeydrop is a little bit smaller. I would say it's a little more watery than Rosella here, but it still has a sweetness to it, kind of like a tropical flavor. But they make a really pretty salad. And next to that is Mrs. Barton. And this is a red cherry, about this size. This one came from my daughter's piano teacher's garden, and she just let them self-sow every year, and I took a fruit home, and I've been growing them ever since. So that's what I have so far. And then next to that, see that pot right there? Okay, so that is blue cream berry, and it is a favorite. It is very mild flavored, but notice that it's in a pot. Okay, so this one right here, so my sister and I this year, and other people that I know, and mind you, the tomato plants are not for me, so this is not a me tomato plant thing. This one would wilt during the day, and then it would perk up at night, and I've had a few of them do this, and I had a couple last year and they just died. And my sister said something to me about taking them out of the ground and looking at it, and it looked like the bark was whittled away. So there was no way for water to go up the plant. Whether it was cutworms or wireworms. We've seen wireworms, both of us have, and she lives about 15 minutes away from here. I don't think it's just an us thing, and I have seen wireworms, and we've used the potatoes in the ground years past, but this year she said she was making a little well around it, and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. So I cut the bottom of that pot out, filled it with nice new soil, and I put my diatomaceous earth around the where it looked like it was whittled away. And this plant is now thriving. is doing fine. So I have done this to a couple plants that were not thriving. Or so yeah, so there's nothing ripe on the blue cream berry right there. But this is, I have to put my tomatoes down. This one is Barry's Crazy Cherry. Look at that. So many cherry tomatoes. And this is what it looks like when it's ripe. It has a sweetness to it. It's pretty mild. It's a nice cherry tomato. And then next to that is actually Sartre Roulet. That is a new one this year. I have not tasted this one yet. And this one also gave me trouble, so it is now in a pot, but I just did this, okay? So we'll see if it perks up. All right, so those are the cherry tomatoes, and now I want to show you my Purple Rain, which is a dwarf tomato plant. It's a very vigorous, healthy plant. I just love this plant. Now it needs the metal post because it gets so heavy with tomatoes. I don't think that there are any ripe on them yet, but it is a healthy looking tomato plant. You can see the big tomatoes down there. So it gets a full-size tomato on a short plant. So I am sure we'll have ripe ones of those fairly soon. Oh, actually, what do we have? Okay, so this one, yeah, so that one is almost, well, I think it is actually ripe. So this one's on the smaller side, but I'll take it. All right, so see that little bird up on the top right there? So they gather whenever I'm not out here, and they're looking down and they're looking for beetles, the Mexican bean beetle, and they'll eat the cabbage worms as well. So yeah, so they are my employees here. So down the other end I have some full-size tomatoes that I want to show you that one of them I've been growing for many years, and that's this one right here, and this is called Early Wonder, and it gets to about 5 feet tall, 4 to 5 feet tall, because I do have some in containers that are a little bit shorter. It gets a nice big tomato on it, and it'll be early for a quote-unquote beefsteak style tomato. So yeah, there's another one down in there. It's always a very healthy looking tomato plant. It has a different color green to it. It's kind of always pale. It always is, no matter how much fertilizer I give it. But I highly recommend this as a container plant, but you can definitely put it in the ground. So that is Early Wonder. And this little cattle panel here is where I will grow something. I always have my something special and something new. So my something special is Coeur d'Ebout. This is an ox heart tomato, and I love this one sliced and put on pizza or bread. It's got a really great shape to it. It is a healthy looking tomato plant. It does have some yellow leaves a little bit going on because of all of the rain and the humidity. Let's see. But you can see it has a unique shape to it. On the drier side, you know, not a real juicy tomato, but I really like this one, and I like to put it here because it's special. And on this side is new to me this year, and this is Black Beauty. So far this has been an impressive plant. It was impressive when it was in my pots for sale to people. Very, very vigorous. Gorgeous looking tomatoes. It'll be interesting to see how this ripens. I'd love to hear other people's opinion on this if you are growing this one. We have a lot of spots on the leaves, and you know, that's part of the territory when it comes to growing, especially the heirloom tomatoes, but I wouldn't have it any other way. But I would say it's a great tomato plant so far, so we will see how this tastes. All right, so now we're gonna go look at where I keep mostly the big, large tomatoes. On the way, we'll stop in the greenhouse. So I've got, these are just more early wonder in here, and for no real reason other than I had the pots and I didn't have the room in the garden, and so you can see it looks a lot different, right, than the one that's in the ground, but they're still healthy looking tomatoes, right? Oh, and these are younger than the one that's in the ground as well, so I will have to stake these up. Now this morning I realized, okay, that obviously there was one of those tomato hornworms in here, and I did find him, and he did not have the white sacks, and he was evicted. So, but he did a lot of damage. Will this plant recover? I'm not really sure. This is a determinate tomato plant, so we shall see. Now over here on the side is where I have backup tomato plants. Some of them are younger, and some of them are my startup plants for the season. You can see that there's a chocolate chestnut already ripe here. And the reason that I keep these plants here is because as soon as I get rid of these plants, I'm gonna need them. Trust me, it's how it works. I'll have a loss and then I'll have nothing to plant. So I've always got backups. And this is where I would put a tomato hornworm if it had the white pouches on it. I would put it on one of these plants and let nature take its course. Hi, girls. Hello. Okay, so this is my tomato structure that has mostly the big boys, all of the big beefy type tomatoes, with the exception of right here. We have a spoon tomato, and full disclosure, spoon tomatoes are not my favorite thing to grow, but if people want them, I will grow them and I will save seeds. And this is a spoon tomato right here, and I'm growing it just to save the seeds. It will definitely reach the top of the structure, and then we'll decide what we're going to do from there. But if you've ever wondered how a spoon tomato grows, this is one spoon tomato here. You can see I have another plant there that I have the pot around, and literally I saved these plants from dying. This is not my first rodeo. I know what happens next. I have had it happen. That is not topsoil. That is container mix in there. So I think it just gives the plant time to produce new roots and get them deep into the ground. I don't know. It worked, people, and I'm so happy. But let's start. So this one is struggling right now. It doesn't wilt, but we are not thriving. And this is orange strawberry, and I always have a wonderful time with this plant. It is a yellow tomato. It's very flavorful. It's very juicy. It's on the sweeter side. And yeah, so we'll see. I'm going to put a collar around it and give it a try, but it's got this nice new branch here. You can see, oh, so I didn't say this. Okay, so if you're new here, I grow them on strings. This is what I use for support, and it works wonderfully. All I do is, let's see, where's a good example? Okay, right here, is I just keep wrapping them clockwise, and I don't do anything. I don't tie them on, nothing. This is paracord. It'll last me a few years as opposed to the twine. I love growing tomatoes like this. I'm growing less tomatoes with more branches this year. I figured it would cut down on my maintenance a little bit. All right, back to what I'm here for. Okay, so this is orange icicle. And I took this one out of retirement because I'm like, you know what I miss? I miss orange icicle. All right, and it is a plum-shaped tomato. It is sweet, it is juicy, it is very prolific. I really like it. It gets lots of tomatoes. I saved this one from sure death. As we're going, I want you to notice the size difference, okay? It is always good. It's a great thing to see how tall these tomatoes are going to get and which ones get taller than others. Right next to my orange icicle is, I have no idea who you are. Who are you? Let's check the tag. Okay. I have the tags stapled on. Oh, of course, this is Brandywine. Okay, so yep, we've got some yellowing of the leaves. I will be cutting these off. Everyone has to have a hobby, and that is mine. I cut spotted tomato leaves off of plants. I love Brandywine. This is pink Brandywine, by the way. I've been growing the same one. I save my own seeds. I do isolate them. I've done none of that yet. Do I need to this year? I probably will, just because it's a good thing to do. And so where are the tomatoes? Okay. There's the tomatoes. We're looking good. Looking very good. And next to this, should I guess? What if I'm wrong? I think that's Pantana Romanesco. Who are you? Let's see. Ha! I am so wrong. Okay, this is Cherokee Purple. That's what I meant to say. Cut. Start over. Oh, this must be Cherokee Purple. This is Cherokee Purple. Isn't that gorgeous? Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So many tomatoes. I've been growing this one for many years. I used to grow carbon as well. They're very similar, and I just chose, I save seeds. I've got them very secure. So if I want to take them out of retirement, I will take them out of retirement, but I love Cherokee Purple. And who are you? Who are you? Well, you've got a lot of tomatoes on you, so let's find out. Ah, this is Pantana Romanesco. Okay, what a beauty, huh? So this is my favorite big tomato. Favorite. I like, it's a little, accordion shape to it. It gets very, very dark red. It is so flavorful. Look at all those beautiful branches. Nice tall tomato. How tall is my structure? Let's see, 9, 10 feet? I don't know. It's tall. And it gets shorter as we go down. Now next to the Pantana Romanesco is, I'm gonna guess, Wood's Famous Brimmer. Are you Wood's Famous Brimmer? Hey, who's doing that? Let's see. Yes, Wood's Famous Brimmer. Nice big tomato plants. Nice big tomatoes. You can see when the wind blows, it pulls my stakes out of the ground, but sometimes I'll tie the paracord loosely to the plant. I should also mention that every year I add the Costa Maine container mix. I use the Costa Maine container mix or raised bed mix, and I top off these beds here. So I do that, and I have a flat sprinkler hose buried, and that's how I water these. So next to Wood's Famous Brimmer, I'm going to say chocolate chestnut. Are you chocolate chestnut? I don't know. Yes. Okay. All right. Look at how pretty that is. Look at how tall we are. We are touching the top already. Nice, healthy, beautiful plant. I don't think I've had to touch this one. Like some of these, you can see I've cut the leaves off of them, but this one I have not touched. It has shown good disease resistance for me. And this is, I'm gonna say German pink. Ding, 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 German pink. Okay, so German pink was one of the first heirlooms that I did. I really like this tomato. It gets huge. We will be waiting quite a while for these to finish up. But potato leaf looks good. Keep up the good work there, buddy. And this is black icicle. So I showed you orange icicle. This is black icicle, and I make a lot of sauce with this one. I love this tomato plant. Look at how tall we are. Ooh, what do we got going on here? Oh, nothing. Okay, good. But look at how big they are. This is my favorite plum tomato, and I figured I had a little bit of space here, so I put a new Bonnie Best in there, which brings me to, nope, not yet. Okay, so next to black icicle, let me back up. So next to black icicle is San Marzano. So this is San Marzano, and this is an indeterminate San Marzano. And that is it so far. I have to tell you, this one failed me early last year, and but you cannot judge a tomato plant by growing it for 1 year. You have to do multiple years, because the weather determines our success. This is Bonnie Best, and I fell in love with this one last year. Last year was very, very rainy. We had so much rain, and this one showed such good disease resistance. And we have one starting to ripen right there. And then this is another Bonnie Best right next to it. So all in all, I am having a good tomato year. How about you? I want to know, where do you live? What's your weather? How is your tomato season going? What are your challenges? And no, we're not done yet. I still have a few outliers that are by themselves that I want to show you. So this is a little weird where I have this tomato planted, and it's just because I ran out of room, and I had a sweet customer bring me a tomato plant, and if you bring me a tomato plant, man, we are best friends now. So this right here is, what is it called? Oh, I have to look at the tag. Oh, anyway, so this is a tomato plant that was given to me, and it's going to grow against this fence panel. And so far it's very healthy. It's got these nice little tomatoes on them. So we will see how this one does. Always love to try something new. All right, so in this container right here is Orange Hat. So this is a micro cherry tomato. It's got good tomato flavor to it. You can see my petunia's not looking so good there, but it stays very short, and it keeps producing tomatoes for most of the season. But they're the earliest cherry tomato. We've had these for a little while, and it's just a nice one to have. It looks great with ornamentals too. This is Prairie Fire, and Prairie Fire is an excellent snacking tomato. It is semi-determinate, so this is a fine steak for it, and I just keep tucking it inside. It gets tons of tomatoes on them, but this one is almost ripe. It has that kind of like copper flecks in it. Very, very sweet. This is a very sweet snacking tomato. But they look healthy and they look cute, and you can grow them in a pot if you want to. I think I had some in the garden and we walked right past them. So I prefer, if I can grow it in the ground, I will grow it in the ground. But yeah, this is one that you should definitely try. Here's another one. So I grow, let's see, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 of these growing because we just love them so much. So this one's almost ripe. It's got great color to it, but it's not ripe, so I'll let this ripen on the windowsill. All right, so that is our midsummer tomato garden tour, and I got a little harvest out of it as well. We are just getting ready to rain again. It is hot and humid, if you cannot tell. It is very humid. So I was trying to add up in my head, was it 30? I think it may have been 27. I don't know. There's definitely more than 30 plants, but I do have some duplicates here. Anyway, there's plenty of tomatoes. Hopefully you heard me mention one that you're like, oh, I gotta try that one. But we will be back again looking at tomatoes, talking tomatoes again when there is more ripe ones, and as the season progresses, and you can see which ones look the strongest coming across the finish line and which ones you're like, that one's not for me. And sometimes I say that to myself as well. Catbird, get out of my blueberries. Okay, so so I would love to hear from you what you're growing for tomato. I have gotten recommendations from my tomato videos from people, and I have sought out those tomatoes, so I love to hear about favorites and ones that you think that I should try. So thumbs up if you enjoyed spending time with me today, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next adventure in gardening. See you soon.